I'm the author, Maggie Shaw, and here's a short reading from my book Diviner's Nemesis 1, Avenger. Liz entered the theatre by the stage door, expecting to give a long explanation to be admitted, but the doorkeeper let her pass without comment. She walked into the deserted, shadowy maze backstage, confident she knew the way to Andrew Ferry's dressing room. But the nameplate on what she thought was the right door read Jack Marshall. Then she remembered Marshall had been Ferry's understudy. She wasn't in the wrong place after all. The blatant example of the show having to go on left a bad taste in her mouth. She cautiously opened the door and looked inside. The room had changed too. All was now neat and tidy. All Ferry's personal clutter had gone. "Didn't take Jack long to move in, did it?" said a bitter voice from behind. Liz spun round to find the assistant stage manager standing in the doorway. "No, it didn't, Jeanie. You were fond of Mr. Ferry?" Jeanie nodded and joined her in the dressing room, shutting the door behind them. "None of the rest of them were good enough to do up his shoe straps. I remember him from the old days, the 50s films on Saturday night TV when I was a kid. One of the old school he was, and there's not many of them left now. But none of those bit part players had the humility to learn from him. They still think true greatness comes without pain." Jeannie's praise of Ferry and her contempt for the other actors surprised Liz, for the ASM looked to be younger than herself, brought up with television standards of instant acting, not the studied performances of the old theatres and opera halls. Then she saw the tears glistening in Jeannie's eyes as her fingers fumbled with a small black pocket diary, and understood. "You were the one who phoned the police last night, weren't you?" Jeannie nodded. "But they wouldn't listen to me. He'd left his diary behind here, so I called round to his place on my way home to return it, because I know how much it meant to him. I got there just as the ambulance men were carrying him out. He looked awful. Sunken eyes, grey face, blue lips, shallow breath. 'Andrew!' I cried. He caught hold of my hand. 'Pass the diary to Goldie,' he said. But then he started wandering. 'You must warn the little woman that I've failed,' he said. He was most insistent about that. And over again he told me, 'This is no accident, Jeanie.' It was the last thing he said." She broke off and looked away at the makeup mirror. Only 24 hours before, Andrew had been sitting there laughing with her about incidents from more than 30 years ago and his casual professional friendship with Goldie King, Goldie Gaston as she had been known then. Andrew had held Goldie in great regard, though Jeannie could not understand why she had apparently abandoned him as a friend for over 10 years, only to reappear in his life when his problem had ended. And Goldie apparently had great faith in this Elizabeth Graham from her phone call to the theatre just before the young woman had arrived. Something about Liz drew Jeannie to her, despite her model-perfect appearance. She sensed she could safely trust her. "Andrew used to confide in me. He had lost everything he had in life through drink. Wife, family, home, money, talent, work even, everything. Then he found a new way of living, without drink. And he started to get work again. And he began to hope for a house again sometime. He didn't dare hope for a family, but I loved him. He said he was a born liar and a scoundrel, but I found he was the sort that couldn't lie. That's why it hurt so much when the police ignored him about his club. He didn't like something that was going on there. He said he didn't escape from one trap just to fall into another. But someone must have believed him, because he's dead now, and his heart was as strong as an ox." "What club was he so upset about?" "The Psychic Society Incorporated, of course. Equity has never played those sorts of games." The society's name was like a revelation. One moment, Liz was wondering how all the scattered pieces of the jigsaw fitted together. The next, she saw them all drop into place, so obviously that she struck her forehead with her right palm for being so slow. What a stupid idiot I've been. Psi. PS1. The Greek letter Psi in the circle. Jeanie, can I look in that diary? I need the society's address. Keep the diary, Mrs. Graham. That's what Andrew would have wanted. You're here on Goldie's behalf to find out why he died. He even called you a second Goldie last night after you'd gone. That's why you'd cause such problems, he said.